going on, Jerome's? Day one of the NFL draft was blackout drunk after the top 10. And day two was a lot of fun as well. Certainly buzzed up. Vikings made a lot of moves. There was a lot of very talented players. Some had some draft day slides. Some went a little bit sooner than people were expecting. And there is still a lot of talent heading to round 4, day 3 of the draft tomorrow on Saturday. So we wanted to walk through day 2, some of the picks, some of the trades, etc. So Logan Hall going to the Bucks. Yeesh. Makes a ton of sense there. Christian Watson going to the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers. Now, by every single trade chart available, the Vikings won this trade in a landslide. I don't know why people are still mad. Christian Watson, I mean, he's got tools, he's got potential, but I highly doubt he's going to walk in and just set the league on fire, man. I think that he is a work in progress. Packers want to sit and sort of babysit him. Sure, we got to play him twice a year. Don't care. We got Andrew Booth Jr., damn straight. So we'll go from there. 35. So the Tennessee Titans, who had themselves a day. So they picked up Roger McCreary, one of my favorite cornerbacks in the draft. Feisty gets after it. The Jets had themselves a draft too, man. So they got Sauce Gardner. They got Jermaine Johnson, as well as they got Garrett Wilson. Now they get Breece Hall in the second round. Baby. Suge Knight. White Suge Knight. Joe Douglas is getting it. Jalen Petrie going to Baylor. Love his versatility on the back end. He stays in the great state of Texas. Arnold Ebiketie going to the Falcons. Falcons, a very interesting draft as well. 39 Bears. Hate it. Kyler Gordon is a player. Him and Jalen Johnson are going to be a nice cornerback tandem. Boye Mafe, as well as Kenneth Walker the third, running back, as well as defensive lineman going to Seattle. A little bit surprising, especially since Rashad Penny had himself a nice season. Chris Carson, the perpetually injured Chris Carson, whatever. And Mafe, they need to rebuild on the defensive line. Sort of surprising that Seattle didn't go quarterback, but we'll get to that. Andrew Booth Jr., 42. I think that he's fantastic value getting him at 42 versus what you would have taken him at 34. I think that he has the potential to be a true shutdown corner as long as that core injury issue is worked out. I think that he can be an absolute stud. Wandale going to the Giants. I mean, hell, maybe they still want to get rid of Kadarius Toney, but Wandale is going to be a playmaker. John Mechie the third, the other Alabama wide receiver coming off the ACL. He can work in with the Texans, and he can be something nice. Ojabo, draft day slide stop with the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens, how did they do it? How did the Ravens do it? So Ojabo joins Kyle Hamilton, as well as Linderbaum, as well as Jones. So, I mean, they're just getting it. So Ojabo can just spend this year and just waiting, chilling, and then he'll be a fantastic edge rusher for the Ravens. Josh Paschal, this is the second pick that the Lions got in the trade with the Vikings. Edge rusher from Kentucky. Needs a little bit of polish, but he could be a player as well. Fidrian Mathis coming in from Alabama, just another great Bama defensive lineman. Apparently they're moving on from Daron Payne, so just another Alabama defensive lineman to go get it. Jaquan Brisker going to the Bears. This one kind of sucks as well. So the secondary is being built up, and this is a Justin Jefferson effect where the Bears, first 2 picks, even though they need wide receivers, even though they need offensive line, going with Brisker and the cornerback Gordon. So yeah, Alontae Taylor, quarterback coming out of Tennessee. Interesting that he went this high, but the Saints, they definitely need some help in the secondary. The Patriots. So the Patriots do not give an F what you think about their picks. So they took Cole Strange in the first round, a little bit ahead of where people thought he would go. Tyquan Thornton, the speedster coming out of Baylor. Now, he was seen as more of a probably an early day 3 pick, but Patriots take him in the second round. Cam Jurgens, freaking A. Freaking A, man. Freaking A, Scotty. So the Eagles get Cam Jurgens, one of my draft crushes. He's going to replace Jason Kelsey eventually. George Pickens, the Steelers are fantastic at picking mid-round wide receivers. He joins Kenny Pickett in the Steel City. Alec Pierce coming out of Cincy, I think one of the more underrated players coming from the Bearcats. Big-time size and speed. Him and Michael Pittman are going to be a nice duo. Sky Moore coming in for the Chiefs. Now the Chiefs looking for wide receivers, and they got an absolute stud, Steve Smith Jr. clone. Steve Smith Sr. clone. Whatever clone. Trey McBride. So, I mean, the Cardinals haven't really used a tight end a lot, going back to the BA days, but Trey McBride, the best tight end in this class, he ends up in the desert. Sam Williams going to the Cowboys. Luke Agaki, where the Central Michigan offensive lineman, not named Raymond, he's going early, but the Bucks do need some help. I think they can kick him inside. Troy Anderson, the tackling machine from Montana State, he goes to the Falcons in round 2. Ed Ingram, so fantastic pass blocker. Maybe a little bit ahead of where a lot of people saw him, and also ahead of a lot of other great interior offensive linemen, but it be what it be. Cam Taylor-Britt. I love this pick for the Bengals. They need a lot of help in the secondary. CTB is going to be great on special teams as well as in the slot. Drake Jackson coming out of USC, going to the Niners. I think that he is going to be a very solid edge. You like the versatility as well. So the Niners got a good one. Brian Cook, the great safety out of Cincinnati, absolute field general back there. And he's going to be a guy that really helps them absorb the sting about losing Honey Badger. James Cook to the Bills. I love this one, man, because James Cook is the best receiving running back in this class. The Bills want to throw, and James Cook is going to get all the targets coming out of the backfield, man. So James Cook, if you have a dynasty PPR league in fantasy, go get him. Nick Bonito, final pick in the second round, a guy that I really love. Him going to Denver, they're just going to get after it on the edge. I like that pick by our guy, Jumpin' George Payton. Third round. All right, Luke Fortner goes to the Jaguars. Second pick of the third round, Brian Asamoah, heat-seeking missile. Yeah, undersized, whatever. The Vikings want some speed and some sassiness on that defense, and then they got another great piece with Asamoah. So three of the top 4 picks. So you got Lewis Cine, hard hitter, speed. You have Andrew Booth Jr. has got speed, also mixes things up in the run game. Potentially be a shadow cornerback 1, and then Asamoah, who's not afraid of contact, and is great in coverage as well. So the Vikings are bringing some swagger and attitude to that defense. Adzula nailed it going to the Giants. Martin Emerson, great cornerback coming out of Mississippi State, former teammates of Cameron Tiny Dantzler. I think that he is probably the more underrated cornerbacks in a very good cornerback class. He goes to Cleveland, get in the mix with Denzel Ward. Nicholas Pettit-Freer, the offensive lineman from Ohio State, going to Tennessee. Chad Muma, who I really like from Wyoming, but the Vikings decided to go in a different direction at linebacker. But there's a lot of really good linebackers in this class. Velus Jones Jr., 25 years old. Bears getting after him, man. So like the absolutely ancient VJJ. Whatever. Abraham Lucas staying in the great state of Washington. Jelani Woods, who was a draft darling by a lot, physical freak. He goes to the Indianapolis Colts so they can work him in slowly. Desmond Ridder, third round, second quarterback off the board after Kenny Pickett in the first round. So I think this is a great spot for Ridder. Also, he compares very favorably to Marcus Mariota, like profile-wise, and Ridder can sit for a year. He can eventually be that guy. Arthur Smith gets his quarterback. Christian Harris, versatile linebacker out of Alabama, a little bit inconsistent, but he goes to the Texans. And I think Caserio is picking up on the Alabama love because they took Mechie before. Of course, Belichick loved him some Alabama players, the ties with him and Saban, and of course, the ties with Belichick and Caserio. There you go. Travis Jones. Travis Jones going to the Ravens. Every single pick that the Ravens get is like, that's such a Ravens pick. The Colts, so they never really replaced Costanzo, so Bernard Raymond coming in from Central Michigan, where extremely raw, does need a lot of work and polish, but I think that eventually he could work his way into being a competent tackle in this league. So we'll see. Alex Wright coming in from UAB. Love his game. I think the Browns had themselves a fantastic draft yet again. JT Woods coming out of Baylor. Just another physical freak on that Baylor defense coming in. Low-key, Baylor's defense, Dave Aranda's done a fantastic job. Greg Dulcich, the great tight end from UCLA, going to the Broncos. They need to replace Noah Fant. Cordell Flott, safety coming out of LSU, going to the Giants. Let's see here. Malone, whatever. Nakobe Dean. So reported that Nakobe Dean fell because he had a pec injury that did not require surgery. Who cares? I mean, even if the pec required surgery, who cares? Yes, Nakobe Dean, a little bit undersized, but he's a stud. Even though injury concerns are certainly there, whatever. DeMarvin Leal, who, I mean, he was like a top pick or seen as a top pick before the start of the season. He falls to the Steelers. A nice spot for him. The marvelous Marcus Jones, fantastic slot corner as well as great in the return game. He goes to New England. He's going to make a huge impact for them right away. The Tennessee Titans picking up Malik Willis in the third round, stopping his draft day slide. I think that he is fantastic. I think it's a perfect spot for him. Sit behind Tannehill for a year. Next year, he's out of guaranteed money, so Malik Willis could slide on in. Cam Thomas going to the Cardinals. Tolbert, the pride of South Alabama, going to the Cowboys. Terrell Bernard. And the guy from Good Morning Football, just had an awesome pro wrestling type announcement of the pick. It was great. Dylan Parham, one of my draft crushes, a great offensive lineman, great guard out of Memphis, goes to the Vegas Raiders. So Sean Ryan. So Sean Ryan, he former rugby guy, absolutely massive coming out of UCLA. I think that he's going to be the potential future right tackle for the Packers, but we'll see what happens. TDP going to the Niners. It's interesting. Matt Corral. So the Panthers didn't get their quarterback of the future early on, but they maneuvered, and then they got Matt Corral in the third round. Now, Matt Corral could beat out Sam Darnold this year. I truly believe that. Zach Carter to the Bengals. Nick Cross. Ooh, yeah, because the Colts traded up and gave up a future third to come up and get Nick Cross, who I think is a fantastic safety. I think that he'll start right away for the Colts. Kirby Joseph, another great safety, coming into the Lions. B-Rob Jr. B. Robinson Jr. There you go. Solid running back out of Alabama. Power going to D.C. David Bell, who great wide receiver, didn't test the greatest at all, but he heads over to the Browns. Marjai Sanders, who extremely underrated. I think the upside is certainly there. The pride of Cincinnati, he goes out to the desert. Jeremy Ruckert, I mean, fantastic. The Jets had themselves a hell of a draft. Ruckert, who is probably the best blocking tight end, as well as he's got great hands. I think that he'll find a nice spot there in New York, even though they got a logjam of tight ends, including our guy Tyler Gronklin. See Tyndall, Chenal going to the Chiefs. Logan Bruss, the Chiefs' first pick, as well as Danny Gray, the pride of SMU. Unfortunately, going to the Niners. I liked him a lot, and the Vikings got back into the fourth round. I was hoping maybe he gets a 122, but what can you do? Danny Gray going to the Niners. So just recapping the Vikings. Let's see. Oh, no, let's do best available. There you go. Daniel Falele, monster, 6'8", 500-pound offensive lineman from the Gophers, is Sarah chillin'. Sam Howell, I think, will go pretty early in round 4. Kennard is still there. Let's see. Max Mitchell, Isaiah Spiller out there chilling. Josh Jobe, great do-it-all cornerback. Tariq Woolen, the physical freak, a cornerback from University of Texas San Antonio. Go Roadrunners. A lot of people saw him as a second-round pick, but the league said no. Zach Tom, versatile offensive lineman from Wake Forest, is out there chilling. CA3, Calvin Austin III, the gadget player from Memphis, is out there. Perrion Winfrey, a little bit surprising that he slid so far. Jeremy Saylor, same thing as well. Donovan West, who I like a lot. Maybe the Vikings want to double dip on offensive line. Why the hell not? Let's see here. Jake Ferguson. Kobe's still out there. Carson Strong, still waiting to hear his name being called. 2 of the top 6 quarterbacks are still out there chilling. Let's see who else here. There, Mumford, Goodrich is there. Medical issues, question marks. Yeah. Kate Otten is still out there. I mean, there's a lot of really talented players that are going to go early on day 3. So, it's a lot of fun. The draft, round 1, the pomp and circumstance is certainly there, but day 2, that's where a lot of really talented players find spots. A lot of guys that could have been gone in the first round if the board broke different, but it didn't. But let's go. Let's go, man. But that's it. That's recapping day 2 of the draft. What are your thoughts on our thoughts? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.